All right. Hello, citizens of the Nigelverse. It is Nigel here once again, and this is going to be another review. Previously here on the channel, we reviewed Mankind versus The Rock at the 1999 Royal Rumble, where Mankind suffered mild brain damage, but at a week later, they did it all over again. This time in an empty arena, no fans, no rules and no way no one is walking out without the WWF Championship. We reviewed that match as well, some time ago. I think like right after I reviewed Rock vs. Mankind initially. Let's take a revisit, with the Super Bowl coming up in about 24 hours or so. Let's revisit the empty arena match from Halftime Heat in 1999 between Mankind and The Rock. A very unique and different type of match, but how does it still hold up? First of all, how does it still hold up almost 30 years later? And how does it hold up 3 years after I initially reviewed it? It's not quite to the day, but almost 3 years after I reviewed it. Let's find out the answer to both those questions. But first, of course, as always, I am not a professional wrestling reviewer or analyst or anything like that. Just a man who enjoys a good time, and I had a pretty good time going back and revisiting this match. Like I said, it's a very interesting, unique type of match. So without further ado, let's get right into it. Now, if you've seen these reviews of mine before, you kind of already know how this works. If you haven't, I'm going to be talking about what I liked and disliked about the match and kind of how we got here. Mankind and called the Rock and the corporation out on their underhanded tactics to give The Rock the WWF Championship back at the Rumble. That Mankind's voice clip from Sunday Night from Heat was reused and played over the intercom to make it seem like Mankind was saying it. So Mankind wanted a rematch, and he resorted to stealing The Rock's money and handing it out in the audience. Now, if anybody, this is kind of a, I don't want to call it call to action, but more so an inquiry to anybody who was in attendance that night. For that segment, if you were in attendance on Raw on that night, was that real money? Was that just like giving money? Or was it actual money? And honestly, that does open the door. Or have the other times that they've given out money, was that real money? I know, like the $1 Million Mania, that one was kind of, I think that one was real. Well, it was kind of awkward, but I think that one was real if I'm not mistaken. Um, and $1 Million Mania, that was several years later. But was that real money? If someone could please let me know in the comments, that'd be very much appreciated. Mankind essentially coerced The Rock into giving him a rematch for the WWF Championship. Now, a couple other preliminaries before we get into it. I did try finding this match at I wanted to see if Netflix had it because that's where a lot of the WWE content is nowadays. Back on Peacock, it's just now the NXT content, all like the main WWE content. Aside from a couple other things, a couple other stragglers have now migrated over to Netflix. So I went searching, and it turns out I could not find any episodes of Heat on Netflix. So I guess that hasn't been migrated over just yet on to Netflix. So I was out of luck there. However, thankfully, someone uploaded the full match to YouTube. And so I was able to watch it there. I imagine with the Super Bowl tomorrow, there might be a chance that the WWE Vault channel might upload the full match. It wouldn't surprise me. But yeah, so I was able to rewatch the match in its entirety, and I'm very glad I was able to. I'm glad I was able to dodge that catastrophe. But also interesting that had this happened the same night as the Super Bowl number 33. I think that's 33. Yeah, yeah, if I remember my Roman numerals. Yep, that is Super Bowl 33. That this takes place is on it air the same night. So that means that year the Super Bowl was in January because that was January 31st in 1999. So that means the Super Bowl was in January, which is kind of a culture shock. I don't know if I mentioned it in my original video, but usually all my life now. I'm not a football fan. I don't really watch football super often. My friends are football fans though, but I personally am not a football fan. But that being said, I usually remember her even when like we had like the Super Bowl parties or when everybody else would be going crazy over the Super Bowl. Oh, and sometimes I would go just to get out of the house and because my parents dragged me to it, but because my dad and my brother are they're kind of big into football. But that being said, I usually remember the Super Bowl taking place in February. I feel like all my life it's always been in February. So having it be in January here was interesting, but wouldn't be the first time. Hell, last year the Royal Rumble was in February, so I guess things get topsy turvy sometimes. But that was pretty interesting. But on to the match itself. Of what I liked, this match was a lot of fun. And it was just a fun, chaotic brawl. All having the empty arena, admittedly, he almost seemed like it could hinder the match in a lot of ways. And I remember when the pandemic first started, and it was revealed that WWE and AEW, for that matter, well, AEW, who still had some crowds, and they got some flack for it. I remember around that time, but around when the pandemic first started, and WWE didn't have crowds, they went to the performance center, and there was nobody in there. And this was before they even had like the crowd of like the NXT talent or recruits making in the crowd, and then the Thunderdome right after. But this is back when they were gonna have no crowd, which those first few episodes of Raw and SmackDown, and that like WrestleMania as well. Those were weird, um, but I remember a lot of people made memes of this match, the empty arena, and how that was gonna look for WrestleMania. So I do remember that. But it almost seemed like not having a crowd would hinder this match. But if anything, and a lot of people say, hey, hindrances and things you can't do breed more creativity to get around it. In this case, I think Mankind and The Rock were able to do that because they spend almost the entire time jaw jacking. Vince McMahon is the only other person there, and the referee, of course. Or sorry, I accidentally hit my mic. Vince McMahon is the only other person there, and he is doing commentary the entire time. Now, if you watched WWF back in the day, if you weren't a new fan at the time and you remember WWF from back in the day, you aren't completely unfamiliar with Vince McMahon on commentary. But it was cool. It was kind of funny on to see him on the call for commentary for this match, and it does occasionally cut back to Shane McMahon and Kevin Kelly, yeah, and an arena full of people who are kind of just watching along on the jumbotron, which I imagine that had to be pretty awkward. Or like, oh, we don't get to be there for the match. As they just find an empty arena and we're in a full arena, or I wonder if it was taped ahead of time. This match, but hey, you do have an arena full of people watching on the jumbotron, and that's like the actual area where Sunday Night Heat is. But so Vince McMahon's the only one on commentary, but Mankind and The Rock jaw jack with each other throughout the entire time, especially The Rock. A lot the funny jokes and everything that The Rock makes, and they make their way all throughout. They go up the stands. Rock even kicks Mankind down the stairs. He doesn't fall all the way down, just like most of the way down. He doesn't pull a stormtrooper, but he does kick Mankind part of the way down the stairs, as they eventually make their way to the food area and the catering where the rest of the crew are eating and everything, and they kind of like throw food at each other. One of my favorite parts is Mankind hits The Rock with a bag of popcorn. and Rock does regain the advantage. He takes a bite of popcorn and says, salty, and he attacks Mankind for it. Hey, sorry, Rock. Mankind wasn't the one who made it salty, but they do fight around there, and around there as well. And then, and my other one of my other favorite parts. There's a few. I'm not gonna list them all, but because there's just too many. But there's a few. The other part is when they keep going down the catering table and they kind of just throw food back and forth at each other. uh, the Rock picks up this basket full of this fruit, and he says, "I don't even know what this is," and then continues to attack Mankind. Now, excuse me. Now, and how now I'm gonna preface this by saying I used to work in a grocery store, or or and I looking at the fruit. If I remember, I'll put a photo on the screen here. Or looking at the fruit, it's kind of grainy because that was just the camera quality back then. From first glance, I think that's a jackfruit, but I could be wrong. It looks like it might be a jackfruit though, which I've never had a jackfruit. I've seen it plenty of times, because a number of people have bought it, and whenever I would pass through the produce section. But I believe that is a jackfruit. If I am wrong, if somebody does know what fruit that is, for sure, please let me know in the comments. It's either a jackfruit or it might be a horned melon, but I think horned melons are a little bit smaller, if I'm not mistaken. But but there's moments like that. And then there's a moment where they go into this office. As the phone rings twice, The Rock answers it. It said, "Mankind's not available." The second time, and Rock says Mankind's tied up in the moment before he like chokes him with the cable. That part was funny, but sorry, Rock. Austin's answering the phone was funnier when he became CEO. But there is that moment, and then and one of these like ladies, I guess she's like part of the crew or whatever, or she's like staying there, and The Rock is like macking on her like I'm trying to like riz her up a little bit. I died a little inside just saying that just now, but he's trying to court her in the middle of this match. Priorities, I guess, and Mankind immediately gets regains the advantage. So, I guess so, I get has goes to show. Oh, you gotta have your priorities in order. But yeah, just funny moments throughout how the brawl. There's another moment. This happens before both the catering and the office moment where like Mankind, where The Rock throws Mankind into this oven, and they have like the cooking or like searing sound effect. I don't know if that was added in post or if that actually was. If that actually was, then jeez, hope he's okay. But but he opens the oven and he throws Socko in there, and then he throws Mankind's head and hands in there, and says, "Now you're gonna smell what the Rock is cooking." Uh, I, I shouldn't be giggling as hard as I am, but it's some pretty entertaining stuff. It's a wild, entertaining brawl. Oh, eventually it does end near the loading dock, and Mankind very also this is another thing I like, very creative finish where Mankind drops the Rock, and it's right under a forklift. If and right as they're going into the shot, you have somebody like operating the forklift, and then they lift like the pallet it with I don't know what type of kegs those are, but he lifts it up, and then Mankind takes over the forklift. He kind of like shoves the guy out of the way, and then drops the forklift on the Rock. And it's a kind of a weird camera angle. I guess this is kind of a gray area. It is a weird camera angle where the Rock, where it keeps like cutting to the thing lowering, and then it cuts to the Rock trying to like being like, no, 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 and then slowly it lowers on the Rock. Now, Rock, yes, was pretty beat up, but he probably could have moved out of the way. Hey, the forklift, although it would have looked kind of awkward if that was the case. But Rock is pinned under the forklift, and then Mankind kind of sits on top of it, and the ref counts to 3. So Mankind regains the WWF Championship, and the Rock is pretty upset, like, no, no, give the Rock his title. Get your hands off the Rock's title. His words, not mine. So, but yeah, very creative, fun ending to this very creative, chaotic, fun match. This was just as fun all throughout. It was goofy, it was silly, it was just all kinds of fun, honestly. If I had to find something to dislike about this match, that's the constant cuts to Shane, which another funny part is after Mankind wins, Shane just kind of takes off his headset and just like throws it. But the cuts to that, and Vince McMahon being the only one on commentary, he admittedly does get a little awkward at times not having him ping off of someone, it just kind of being him. It is kind of interesting. Now, not the first time we've seen a commentary like that at in professional wrestling. Joey Styles oftentimes commentated by himself in ECW, but it was a bit awkward. But it was also but also understandable. And apparently Vince says Austin was supposed to join him on commentary, but Austin no showed. I wonder if that was legitimate or if Austin just didn't show up. But but there is that, and then not a lot of wrestling moves per se. It's a lot of it's a lot of punches and stuff like that. Had a lot of punches. Like the whole appeal and creativity of the match is the different spots with the weapons and the different spots, such as like the bag of popcorn or the oven or the forklift at the end. And if you're looking for actual like wrestling moves and grapples and pulls and stuff like that, you're not even gonna get. You're definitely not gonna get. We don't even see any real finishers. The only one is the mandible claw, which Mankind uses to put the Rock down under so that he can pin him under with the forklift. But other than that, yeah, not a whole lot there. But that wasn't really what you were here for in the match anyway. Hey, so it's not a whole lot lost, but I figured it was worth bringing up at least. But ladies and gentlemen, that is going to do it for this review. It was very fun to go back and rewatch this match and review this match now with a fresh coat of paint and everything. Also, don't worry, The Rock would get the WWE Championship back or the WWF Championship back in time for WrestleMania 15, which I imagine and makes sense. You know, you definitely want to have Austin versus The Rock at WrestleMania, but I do wonder what would happen if they just let Mankind hold it all the way to WrestleMania and we got Austin versus Mankind for the title instead, or even the triple threat. Now, apparently, the rumor it might have been this match, or it might have been a different one. Apparently, it was supposed to be a triple threat, if I remember correctly. I could be wrong about this. Apparently, it was supposed to be a triple threat between Mankind, The Rock, and Austin, but Shawn Michaels got in Austin's ear and pretty much convinced him to just go strictly for the one-on-one. Now, for starters, very Shawn Michaels, at least at this time. But also, it managed to pay off. It did lead to one of the best trilogies in WrestleMania history. But I do wonder what would happen if they kept the triple threat in, or even just made it Austin versus Mankind. But the world may never know. But, ladies and gentlemen, that's going to do it for this review. Thank you all so much for watching. I hope you enjoyed. If you did, please do me a favor. Like, comment, subscribe, share with your friends, and turn on those post notifications so you know every single time I upload a video so you never miss an upload. And let me know in the comment section below your thoughts on this review and the match. Do you like the match? Do you like this review? Let me know. Oh, and are you guys watching the Super Bowl tomorrow? Are you gonna watch it? Do you not care about football? Let me know in the comments. But in the meantime, thank you all so much for watching. I'll see you guys later. Peace.